Howdy home skillets, and welcome back to the channel. A Disney cruise isn't just one big vacation. It's actually a whole bunch of smaller moments that all come together to create your perfect sailing. Think of it like building a masterpiece. If one piece is off, the whole thing just hits different. So today, we're breaking your cruise down into 10 essential cruise tips, from pre-booking all the way to disembarking. And we're sharing our tips for the most commonly asked questions to help you sail smarter, stress-free, and maximize the magic. Let's jump in. It's gonna be good. Now, since I started this channel, people have been texting, sending messages, asking all sorts of questions on our cruise tips and can we share them, and I'm always doing that. So we put this video together. Now, this is kind of like, let's see how this goes type of approach, because we've never done one of these videos before. So this is going to be our top 10 tips for new cruisers and cruisers that probably didn't know some of these tips. And if you stick around to the end, I'm actually going to throw in a pro hack for getting the coveted Palo Brunch reservations, and it works just about every time. All right, here we go. All right, tip number 10 might seem obvious to some, but to others it's really not. But get to know your crew. The crew on the ship on Disney cruises is phenomenal. They are incredible, and they are there to help you. They like to feel like they are actively taking a part in your vacation. And what better way than to get to know them? Ask them questions. If you have a problem or you want something that you don't think that Disney can do, just ask, because you'll be surprised at how many times those crew members are able to make things happen even when it seems like everything is sold out and you have no reservation availability for something. They come through, and they really are fantastic people. So tip number 10, get to know your crew. All right, so tip number 9 revolves around the shows. The first thing I can say about it is do not miss the shows. They are Broadway caliber shows on Disney cruise ships, and they're actually fantastic. But the biggest tip I can give you is if the show is extremely popular, there's going to be a massive line. So I tell everyone, look and see if there's 2 showings of that show, either during the day or maybe sometimes they have that show a second day. And 9 times out of 10, the line to get into that is going to be really short compared to the first night of the show. So like on our last cruise on the Treasure, the Moana show on the first night had an hour-and-a-half long line that went the entire length of the ship, and no line for the second show the day later. So they had one on Thursday, packed, crazy, everybody's going nuts. The day after, you can sit wherever you want, nobody in line. It was great. So that's tip number 9. All right, so tip number 8 is the Kids Club. The Kids Club on Disney Cruise Line, bar none, the best at sea. It really is phenomenal. From Marvel stuff to Star Wars things, it is really incredible and a lot of fun. But so my tip for that is go on the first day to open house with your kids and get them to see the Kids Club, because I guarantee you they're going to fall in love and they're going to want to go back. Because I do not know how many times, including our kids when they were little, parents were like, my kids didn't really want to go in the Kids Club. They didn't want to go. And my response is, did you go in there with them? And 9 times out of 10, they're like, no, we didn't know you could go in there. But yes, you can. They have an open house, and they usually have one every single day. And that's the reason they have it. It gives parents a chance to go in there, check it out with their children, make them feel comfortable. And believe me, 9 times out of 10, they're going to love it. The Kids Club is phenomenal. All right, what's next? All right, so tip number 7 is all around packing for the theme nights. You have pirate night, you have formal night, you have some people like to dress up Marvel, some people like to dress up for whatever restaurant they're going to, Coco. And this is the one thing I can say to you, and I see this on every cruise, and we always are like, ooh, so could be avoided, is the big tip is dress according to the weather. It gets hot in the Caribbean, and coming from a person who's lived in Florida most of my life, I can tell you, dressing up in layer after layer to be a pirate on a cruise ship when it's hot and humid not only makes adults miserable, but it actually makes the kids miserable. So we constantly see, little kids at pirate night, they're outside, they're pulling on their clothes, they're sweating. Parents, we've seen guys dressed up massive stuff and they're sweating their swashbuckle off, and it's not fun. So again, Dress lighter, and your kids and yourself will appreciate that much more. Oh, and the other thing too is when you are purchasing your pirate costumes, go further down the list in Amazon, because here's a tip. A lot of people just go to Amazon and click whatever, and then you wind up on the boat and there's like 10 guys wearing the same pirate outfit. It's pretty comical. But anyway, those are my tips, and they revolve around packing for theme nights. So, all right, what's next? All right, tip number 6. Divide and conquer. You heard me. Once you get on board, you get your bearings straight. The first thing you want to do is one person goes, takes care of any dining changes you need, special requests, maybe see if there's a Palo Brunch, a Palo dinner available, and the other person can run over to the shore excursions to see if there's any availability for things like cabanas when you're on the private islands, or maybe one of the shore excursions is opened up, because a lot of times for both dining and shore excursions and stuff that's going on the ship, they hold back and they will have stuff. So one person runs and does one thing, the next does another. Divide and conquer. That's tip number 6. Very important. All right, tip number 5. I can't stress this enough because I see it all the time. Enjoy the arrival into the Grand Hall. You only do it once per cruise. I don't care if it's a 3-day, a 4-day, a 7-day, a 20-day. You're only entering that Grand Hall once, and it is majestic. And a lot of time people get in there and they just like, and it's kind of rushed and there's a lot, and they think they got to get out of the way, but just enjoy it. Take some photos, relax. We have characters usually at the top. There's a lot going on, but enjoy it. It's a really big tip, and it is a really big moment for your cruise. You paid a lot to be there, so enjoy it. Get some pictures, some videos, relax. It's an incredible experience. So, as you may or may not know, it's really difficult to do things and book things on a Disney cruise. So tip number 4 is this. When you get to the port, actually open up your phone and try to get on the ship Wi-Fi. Usually you can. You might have to get a little bit closer to where they enter. So even if it's not your boarding time, go over as close to the ship area as you can, jump on the Wi-Fi, open the app, and there you'll see things like the Royal Gathering, lunch with Olaf, the picnic thing, some tastings that they'll have. They'll have more for boarding, and you don't actually have to be on the ship. You can actually do that once you're on the ship Wi-Fi from inside the terminal. It's a huge tip, and most people don't know about it, and I do not know how many things we have booked that way. So tip number 4, get on the Wi-Fi. All right, here's our biggest tip for embarkation day, and I can't stress this enough. Plan your entire morning around your port arrival time. Disney doesn't play around with this. Your port arrival time is not a suggestion. It's basically Disney law. If you have a port arrival time of 1 p.m., you will not be allowed into the terminal at 12:45, not even 12:30, not even with a pretty please. And yes, if you show up early, they will ask you to stand outside until your arrival group is allowed to enter. Hot outside, you're waiting. Cold outside, still waiting. Raining outside, sideways, guess what? You're still waiting. We see it every single sailing, a long, miserable line of people who just walked up whenever they felt like it, and now they're stuck, standing outside with their luggage, questioning every life decision that brought them here. But now here's another little secret. Here's the secret sweet spot. Plan to arrive at the port around 20 minutes before your port arrival time. That gives you just enough buffer for the traffic jam at the terminal and the Uber drop-off shuttles and the where do we go now moment every cruiser has at least once. If you aim for 20 minutes early, you'll hit your arrival time perfectly and walk straight into the terminal with no waiting, no stress, no sweating. Once you're inside, it's smooth sailing, security, check-ins, photo time, and boom, you're entering the ship like royalty. So again, build your morning around port arrival time, not your excitement level. You can be excited, just don't be early excited. All right, so tip number 2, it's a controversial one because people don't think you can do it, but you actually can. So before every sailing, probably about 2 months before I sail, I will actually call and find out the dining rotation. So like on our last cruise, I said, what's the dining rotation? And they told me basically it is going to be Coco, then 1923, then Marvel, then it's going to repeat again, Coco, 1923, then Marvel, then Coco. So I then ask, can I request to have Coco first? Because I want to eat in Coco 3 times, which we did. And I also wanted to eat there when we disembarked before leaving, which we didn't do because it was crazy, but that's a whole nother story. But you can actually do that. Most people say, oh, you can't, they're not going to do it, they won't do it. They've always done it for us. I don't know if we're just special. I don't think so. I think they do it for everyone because there's not a lot of people that do call, unless a lot of people take my advice and call. And it also helps to know the rotation, so then you can try to schedule your dinners ahead of time. So for us, Marvel's probably our least favorite as far as food goes, so then we'll usually schedule a Palo dinner on the second Marvel night or the first Marvel night, which we did on the Treasure. And it works out for us. But if you don't know the rotation and you schedule, say, Palo on the first night and it winds up being a dinner show like The Lion King or Coco and you really want to see it, then it's pain in the rear. So call ahead. That's pro tip number 2. All right, what's next? Number 1? All right, and tip number 1 is master Midnight Madness. What is that, you ask? Well, at midnight, the first day of your openings, to book reservations for onboard activities, things for the kiddos, shore excursions, you need to be up at midnight, actually before midnight, to jump online and just refresh to log in, because that stuff goes quick. And it can really make or break your cruise. There are so many first-time cruisers that don't even know about this. The second Midnight Madness is actually when you do your online check-in and pick a port arrival time. And again, everybody really doesn't know about this. You need to be on at midnight. Same thing when you do your online check-in to set up your account and pick a port arrival time. Why is that a big deal? Because 1, your cruise starts earlier, but 2, you can actually get some of those things that you were unable to reserve when you started doing onboard activities, because Disney holds a lot back for when people board. Also, people cancel when they board. When they check in, they go, hey, I don't want that cabana. So they cancel. And things become available. Palo Brunch is always usually available. But if you get a really bad port arrival time, guess what? Don't even bother going over and checking, because you'll be on the wait list. You'll probably be 10, 15, 20 people deep. But yeah, so 2 Midnight Madnesses you got to do. 1 for reservations and 1 for your online check-in. Those are huge tips, and that's why they are number 1. All right, and here is our hack. We promised a hack at the end of this, and it is booking for Palo Brunch. So I tell everybody, you get on, you hit your refresh button, you're at midnight, all that fun stuff. It comes up Palo Brunch. If it's just you and your wife, or you and your boyfriend or girlfriend, fiance, whatever, just put down 1 person and try to find a reservation, because 9 times out of 10, you're going to get it and they will automatically book it for you and the other adult in your room. Now, I don't think it works for parties of 3, 4, it doesn't work like that. But if it's just 2 of you, just put 1 and hit submit, because a lot of times you put 2 and submit, you are not going to get a reservation. It is going to tell you it's not available. So what I always do, and it's worked on our last, knock on wood, 4 sailings and a future one coming up, is I always put me, submit, and then when we get there, they always are like, I have a party for 2? Yep, perfect. So it's a big hack. Thanks for watching. All right, so that is our top 10 list for Disney cruisers, especially new cruisers, and probably a lot of you veterans might not have known some of these. But what I'm asking, though, is I want you guys to comment down below and throw me down your tips that maybe I forgot, I don't know, or maybe just something that you want out there, and we could all share that information. So again, like and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and more cruising content coming up soon. We're actually going to hop on the Destiny this week. All right, thanks for watching.